It's a very unrealistic dream, but I would love to shoot a scene in space because, I mean, the money shot in space is just going to be crazy because the cum's going to like end up in little round droplets. I'm just going to be able to float around and...
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Life Uncut. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Laura.
And today we have a repeat offender. We have had our guest on the podcast before. She is a friend of Life Uncut. Not only is she the most searched porn star globally, but she is by far our most viewed guest on YouTube. And now I think the reason for that is I think a lot of people YouTube or Google Angela White looking for something very different.
And then they find Life Uncut.
They might end up on Life Uncut. But it's been about 18 months since we've had you on the podcast, Angela. But you are back home on Aussie soil after winning 2 Pornhub Awards in May, taking home the crown again for Most Popular Female Performer Award in 2025, which is the biggest award you can have in your industry. And now, if you guys missed it, about 18 months ago, we did do an episode with you about everything you've ever wanted to ask a porn star. And we're going to link that in the show notes because it is worth a listen.
Oh my God, go back and listen to it because it was like an eye-opener for us. And I feel like on this podcast, we've had many conversations about sex. But if you've ever been curious, Angela was very forthcoming and gave all of the information about the behind the scenes. And also I think for me, that episode, there was so much in it around destigmatizing the work that you've chosen and like how you got into the industry. And I think people have a perception around something that they don't know the ins and the outs of, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah. So definitely go back and listen to that because we are going to scoot across a lot of the stuff we covered in that episode. But we do want to catch up with you on what's been happening in the last 18 months. And we want to talk about the trajectory of porn and the industry with the introduction of AI and the extreme growth of AI. It seems to be taking over the world right now and the porn industry is not excluded. So, Angela, welcome to the podcast again.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's great to be here.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
I mean, last time we asked you if you have an absolutely unfiltered story, and your response to that was that nothing is embarrassing when you work in the industry that you work in.
Yeah. I know. I was trying to think of a story. I really was trying to rack my brain, and I just can't think of anything. I think in the industry, we have a very different relationship with our bodies and with bodily fluids, like things that other people might find embarrassing. We just don't.
You did tell a story that is worth a listen, and I listened to it again a couple of days ago and I was laughing out loud. But you did tell a story. You're like, whilst it's not embarrassing, some people might find it. You said you were masturbating with a big dildo and then you laughed so hard that you squeezed it out and it like flung across and hit the director.
Yeah, in the head. So, I mean, it's not really it's a funny story. It's not embarrassing.
But also it shows the power of your vulva.
Great pelvic floor. That's what you've got. That is what that is right there.
I mean, when you laugh, you really do. At least my abs are squeezing and my pelvic floor is squeezing every time I laugh.
When I laugh now, I just wet myself. So I'm at that stage of pregnancy. So I envy your pelvic floor.
How different.
Congratulations, Angela. It must be nice.
How different this conversation, the two worlds are right now that I'm looking at.
No, you know what? Something we spoke about last time, and I found it really interesting, and it was how, I guess, like your rules have changed over the course of your career, how there were things at the beginning of your career that you were like, I'm never going to do that. You were saying that you started off doing only girl on girl, and then it kind of evolved into things that you felt more comfortable about. You explored different options and different things. Has anything changed in the last 18 months from when we last spoke to things that you find yourself doing now that 18 months ago you would have been like, I don't know if I'm going to do that?
Not really in the past 18 months. I think at this point in my career, I've pretty much explored most things. I won't say everything because there are still some things I don't want to do. But yeah, I think I've explored everything that I want to explore.
Is there any stuff that you've done now that you're like, actually, I won't do that again?
That's a good question. Not really. I mean, so depending on who I work with, the chemistry is either really hot or maybe not so much. So sometimes I'll work with a performer that I'm like, I'm so excited to work with them again, or I'll work with someone where we just don't have the same kind of chemistry or vibe. So I'll be like, I won't have them like at the top of my list to shoot with again. But there's not really any specific acts that I'm like that are off the table that I've done that I've enjoyed in the past.
Do you do a vibe check with somebody new? Like when you know you're going to perform,
Yes.
Do you know like when you start dating someone, you're like, let's go for a coffee first and feel it out. Do you meet them? What's a vibe check look like for a porn scene?
We don't meet each other, although sometimes that can happen at like an industry event. So we go to industry parties and you'll meet somebody that you haven't worked with before and kind of do the vibe check there. But the way I do it is I do market research, which just involves me looking at their work and seeing how they interact with other performers. So if I like the way they have sex, I like the way they engage in foreplay, then I'll be like, okay, that's someone that I want to work with.
And do you get to choose everyone that you work with
Yes.
now? Like in that point of view, have
When
you
you're the best in the world.
I know, but have you always been able to sort of be like, okay, I'm not doing this unless it's this person, or I'm not doing this if it's that person? Like, do you have that level of control at
Yes.
all stages?
At all stages, you absolutely have a choice. You can absolutely say no. But the thing is, at the start of your career, you haven't worked with anybody. So of
Totally. So you
course
don't know what you don't like
Yeah,
either.
you want to work with everybody so you can kind of see who you vibe with, see who you enjoy working with, and then you can kind of cull the list down. But yeah, absolutely. Performers always have a choice whether they want to work with someone or not.
So what has been going on for you in the last 18 months? The last time we spoke to you, you had just launched your own production company. You were very busy and you were very entrepreneurial. Are you still focusing on that now, or are you taking a step away from that and going back into performing? What's like your key focus at the moment?
So I've always, even with my production company, I've always been performing. That is my passion. That is my love. So that's always at the forefront of what I'm doing. But in the last 18 months, I did produce and direct a really big movie called Fuck Angela. Wait, are we swearing on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Last time you talked about fisting your butthole.
Okay.
You can swear.
Well, the title of the movie is literally Fuck Angela, getting straight down to what I wanted in this movie. But it was an early 2000s throwback movie. So it was really my love letter to my favorite era and genre of porn, which is early 2000s gonzo.
When you say a movie, like, are we talking like feature length? Like, how long is a movie?
Yeah, like feature-length movie. I released it, not only did I release it on DVD, but because it was a throwback, I released it on VHS.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
this.
Wow.
Okay, and how are people watching this on VHS? Does
Some
anyone
people
still have one in their
people
house?
still have VCRs.
Wow.
It's kind of like there's been a resurgence as well, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to physical media and the kind of nostalgic return to the early 2000s.
I remember
late
the day
90s.
when you'd have to go into like Video Easy or Blockbuster, and there'd be like that sorted section in the corner, and you'd
But
see
you could see
who
everyone
was-
in the
you'd
aisle.
see who was walking down there. That was the only way that
Sometimes
you
there was
could
like
access.
a beaded curtain.
Not at ours. Ours was like it was like horror, kids,
Comedy.
porn. So
Yeah.
it kind of like went from soft porn to slightly more hard porn the more you got into the corner.
But also, no one ever just went and got a porn video. They'd also have to cover it up. It's like when you started buying condoms
With
when
the-
you're
with the
young, you'd have to
rom-com.
get chocolate and like cover it. Like you get a rom-com and cover the porn
Yep.
up. When you say 2000s is your favorite era of porn, what was
Yeah.
that era?
It was just really heavily focused on gonzo porn, which is my favorite kind of porn. So gonzo porn is all sex porn, really. So it's really ditching the script, ditching any artifice, and getting straight to the performers and focusing on the chemistry between them. So instead of making them dress up and pretend to be a plumber and a lonely housewife, it's just like getting performers together that you know have really hot chemistry and letting them fuck exactly how they want to fuck.
So no storyline as such.
No
You're
storyline.
not coming to fix the pool.
What do you find is the most popular type of porn that people are searching?
I think it's so varied, to be honest. I think that the internet has democratized porn, and I think that there's a niche for it. Like there
is, yeah.
Everybody has their own niche. There's a market for everybody.
What's it like? I mean, it must be such a surreal experience being you're the most searched person in terms of the world of porn. People would recognize you on the street, but then I would dare say that so many people, either you'd have people who want to come up to you and be like, oh my God, I love you. But then you'd also have people who are like, there's Angela White, I'm with my wife, can't say why I love her. Like, how does that usually go for you in a public setting?
It
All variations.
It's all variations. I mean, there are people that come up to me and will ask for a photo. And I also get the people that kind of do more of a double take. And it's not necessarily that they're with their partner. It's just that they're potentially a little bit shy to come up because by
Their
coming
fantasies
up,
in real life.
Well, also by coming up to me, they are admitting that they watch porn, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But there is so much shame around sex and even watching porn in our society that they might feel a little awkward about coming up. And basically, if they say, I'm your fan, they're basically saying, hi, I've seen you naked and I've masturbated to you.
Essentially, that's their internal monologue. Like
Yes,
it's the elephant in the room when somebody comes up to say,
Yeah.
hey, I love you.
Yeah.
It's like, I've jacked off to you.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I want you to do with my
like,
content.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
It's a compliment to me.
Exactly.
Yeah. So You just won these huge awards. One of them is being the most popular. What is the criteria for that? Is it literally just being the most searched person, or has it got to do with your performances, trying new things, pushing boundaries? What is the actual voting criteria?
So for the Pornhub Awards, those are based on data. So that's on searches and comments and basically all data driven. For awards like the AVN Performer of the Year, which I've also won, that's different. That's more based on the body of work, based on your performance, on your marketability. So there's different criteria. So for the Pornhub most searched, it's literally I'm the most searched porn star for 2025.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's so amazing. How do you find in terms of, and I know we spoke about a little bit last time, OnlyFans, which has obviously brought in a whole new wave of exposure to the porn industry, but also it's made it more accessible for some people to tap into it. I think there's also become a real competition element. Well, at least a competition element that we now see in terms of mainstream media, trying to set these huge records for like the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time. What's your perception on, I guess, like the trying to set records or like the competition element that comes now with the porn industry? And I guess more so the fact that things have to be pushed crazier and crazier in order to get those headlines.
Oh, okay. To get the headlines, sure. Okay. I mean, when the news outlets want clicks, they want a headline that's quite
1,000 men.
scandalous or quite impactful. But you can have a successful career without ever getting a headline. I think that the most important thing is to create content that you really enjoy, to create content that you find fun, and that's going to be different for every creator. So for me, like my focus is always genuine connection. So even when I do group scenes, for example, I choose an amount of men that I can actually make sure that I'm connecting with each one of them. But that's a personal choice. Now, in terms of like the record setting and like the really big numbers, if that's what those creators find really fun and enjoyable, then I think more power to them. If people are doing that just for the headlines, I don't know if that's a great idea. And I would say to anyone thinking that they have to do something crazy to be successful, that's absolutely not true. You can have an incredibly successful career just by doing what you love, whatever that may be.
Have you seen, with the surge of accessibility to porn and OnlyFans and social media creators creating this content, have you seen a surge over the last couple of years of people that want to get into the porn industry because of, I guess, the highlight reel that we might be seeing from some people online? Like, has it increased the number of people that want to be adult performers?
I don't know that it has. There's always been people that want to get into the industry. If anything, there's so much money to be made on OnlyFans. I feel like there could be less people coming into the studio system.
Yeah,
As in they're entering through a different way now. I guess, I mean, it's every single industry has its own version of it. I talk about like in media terms, there used to be a traditional route for radio, right? People would come, they would work as producers, they'd work their way up through network stations. Now you go on reality TV shows and you end up getting radio shows. Like there's other, and I guess like there have been new ways of entry points into different industries. And I feel like OnlyFans has potentially made it more accessible for some people, whereas like taking a very traditional route and being at the mercy or being someone who has to be cast in something, like you have directors and other people who are the ones in control of that situation, especially when you're just starting out. But potentially OnlyFans gives younger creators or newer creators the ability to dictate how they want to create that.
Well, yeah, I think OnlyFans has really empowered creators in that like all these creators are now basically producers and directors as well. So
their own.
They're casting their own collabs. They're deciding on the location, on the wardrobe, on how long they want to shoot for, what kind of content they want to create. So I do think OnlyFans has empowered performers to even just be more creative and bring their own sexual visions to life.
We did see some teasers with you and Blue-Eyed Kayla Jade.
Oh,
I don't know
yes,
if you're allowed
yes.
to say what's going on there. Are we going to see a collab there?
We just did an interview so far, so that was, but
A real, as in like this time it was a face-to-face one, was it?
face-to-face podcast. So I'm very excited for that to come out. It was a
Okay,
really
so
great
watch
chat.
this space maybe
Yes.
for a collab or no?
I would love to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, you heard it hit first. What do you think in terms of when you say like there's nothing now that you haven't done that you wouldn't, as in like in terms of things that you've tried, you're like, I've kind of tried everything. When you feel like that in your career, where do you go to from there? Like what's next in terms of the things that you want to be creating, the type of content that you find the most fulfilling, and also like what is it that's like the next big project?
Ooh, I'm always excited to shoot with new people and kind of build chemistry with new performers. I guess the one thing that I haven't done that I have spoken about that I'd love to do, it's a very unrealistic dream, but I would love to shoot a scene in space.
We were
yeah.
going to ask about
Yeah.
Yeah, we're so interested in that. No, talk to us about that. Where did the space fantasy come from?
Katy Perry, wasn't
No,
it?
no. I've had
Katy
this space.
Perry got it from you.
I've had this space fantasy for a very long time. The idea of having sex in zero gravity is just, yeah, unbelievable.
And so you've been training for it.
Yeah, I did the zero gravity experience with zero G, which was absolutely amazing. And I don't know if you saw my little reel with the water droplets, because I mean, the money shot in space is just going to be crazy because the cum's going to like end up in little round droplets. I'm just going to be able to float around and
eat
I'm
it.
floating around in space with
You're
a
like-
whole lot of gum.
You're like the cum
so
space
great.
Pac-Man. You know how Pac-Man used to go and eat? But then, so have you spoken to them logistically about if it is possible? Like, can sex in zero gravity, now that you've experienced it, do you think that you would be able to control it and have that experience?
You would need to have some sort of harness because
You float away from each other.
basically, and if the man thrusts into you, if it's a boy
get
girl
pushed
scene,
away.
yes, exactly. So you'd have to have
just
some
thought
kind of harness to keep you together.
Can you do it in terms of when you say you've done training and you've got an experience like the zero gravity that we have here? Can you create a sex scene in that? Like, would that be logistically possible?
Logistically, it would be tough because on those parabolic flights, you only really get 30 seconds of microgravity at a time.
Right, okay.
So you've got
right.
30, you'd have 30 seconds.
To get your pump on.
That's a real quickie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a real quickie. And then you have like
pretty
a
standard.
few minutes of like regular gravity again and then another 30 seconds of microgravity. So it would be tough to shoot a scene. Also, a lot of these companies have contracts with NASA and NASA's not going to, because it's the same.
NASA doesn't want to be on Pornhub. What are you
No,
talking about?
unfortunately
great
not.
publicity for them, though.
You're like, look at how many clicks I get. God damn it, NASA, get on board.
So is it possible then? Do you think there is a way you're going to be able to do it? I don't mean just like physically do it, but is there a company that would facilitate this?
Look, it's not impossible, but
Yeah.
I'd kind of need a billionaire to be interested in having.
Elon Musk loves procreating and he loves space.
Well, this is the thing. If we are going to populate Mars or any of these space stations, we really need to have research into sexuality in space, in microgravity, in different, or even Martian gravity, all these different environments, because reproduction is going to be more complicated in these situations.
I love that now you can pitch this as like, I'm just here for humanity, guys. I'm
Yes.
here to help.
No ulterior motive. I'm completely selfless. I just want to help science.
Have you reached out to seriously? Like, I don't feel like it's necessarily something that someone like Elon Musk would poo-poo. You know, I feel like there's a big part of him that might. He's pretty crazy and he's pretty forward. He also owns like half a space.
SpaceX isn't there. Doesn't he have a contract with NASA
I have
too?
no
I
idea.
think he does.
I can't say that I'm literate on the Elon Musk space.
I'd be reaching out,
anything.
sliding to his DMs. He responds to a lot of people on Twitter.
Okay, watch
Just tag
watch
him.
this space.
Angela, you mentioned something before, and I find this really fascinating because we see it in fashion, we see it in literally every other industry when things come back around in cycles. And you talked about how your favorite is from, the bygone era of porn. Do you find that porn itself has like a cyclical sort of, what was once in fashion comes back in fashion? Maybe it's in terms of not just the type of porn, but it could be in terms of like the look or the style. Does it have that sort
Yeah.
of repetitive kind of cycle?
Yes, and it's also influenced by mainstream culture as well. So, for example, like if there's a popular TV show, there's going to be a XXX parody of it. Even now, like in the mainstream culture, we've got like a nostalgic throwback to the early 2000s. And so that was my perfect moment to do my love letter to my favorite era of pornography. And then, of course, we have our own little niches that for a while there it was the faux cest stuff, the stepbrother, stepsister stuff. That I feel like is waning. That's not as big of a trend, but for a while there that was a huge trend.
But is it a trend because people are curious about it, or is it a trend because people genuinely deep deeply have those fantasies themselves?
Look, I don't know for sure, but my just opinion is that it's just about the taboo. Like it's just
Right.
finding another taboo.
To tap into.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me that became something that was so fixated on.
Mm.
And it's like, surely there aren't that many people in the world who actually want to fuck their stepsister. Like, are there?
Well, I don't
Is
know,
there?
you're
I don't know. Or their stepdad, or their, like, that's, because like some of that obviously like everyone has kinks. And if it lives in a fantasy world, then like it's fine. But that's when it kind of like tips into like, well, is it a fantasy because it's a real thought, or is it a fantasy because it's a fantasy?
I think it's a fantasy because it's a fantasy. I think if you look at a lot of the tropes of porn is just like, it's naughty. You know, it's like there's cheating fantasies about having sex with your boss or your secretary, or having sex with the plumber while your husband is out. It's all these naughty
HR
taboos.
at Coldplay.
Yeah, I think it's just like, you know, we want to
Yeah.
have these little naughty fantasies. And so porn just figured out, oh, there's another one that we can tap into, and people liked it.
I mean, we did want to speak to you about AI and the way AI is affecting the porn industry. We are seeing deepfakes, AI generated, fully synthetic actors and actresses. How have you seen, as someone that's so deeply integrated in the industry, how have you seen AI affect the industry?
Well, I think that pornography is very uniquely positioned to take advantage of AI, especially performers that have already built a brand. Like I myself have already had my entire body scanned. I did that in 2021, and I've been working with a team to have my body rigged so that I can wear a motion capture suit and make my digital double move, or you can actually program it with a computer and have my body move.
So when you say you've had your body scanned, you mean to create a realistic AI version?
Correct, yes. So that then I will have a digital double that can work when I'm not working, because there's only so much I can do as one person.
Is it realistic enough, what you have created thus far, that people would not be able to tell the difference? Or is it pretty evident that one is the real you and one is AI you?
It's very close, but like it's not ready to launch, in my opinion.
Right.
But it's looking very close.
I mean, this is an interesting way in terms of how it can be used for the positive, because I think a lot of the times we hear about AI, especially deep fakes, and we hear about the negative side of it, how like people's images are being taken. And I know that there are rules and regulations that are coming out around it, but it is kind of chicken or the egg in these situations a lot. When new technology is developed, the legislation doesn't catch up fast enough. So often it's like not until deep fakes are already being circulated that then governments and policies go, oh, that's going to affect people negatively. But it's so interesting to hear how you speak about it being a positive thing potentially in the world of porn.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's only so many scenes. I can only be on one set at one time, but my digital double could do any porn scene at any time. Any fan could just program my body to do a scene while I'm potentially just sitting at home.
Does that
sounds like the dream?
Yeah, but I also think like if you can give that license to someone to have full, complete control over your digital body, like even just saying that, I could, be sitting at home and someone could program it to do whatever they want to it.
Well, no, there's always limits. Even with like, if you're talking to ChatGPT, they put limits on what kinds of conversations you can have. So you can't just make a digital double say or do absolutely anything you want.
Right,
You'd program it to be able to
Have
do
its boundaries.
Exactly.
And then if you are doing that, would you be making more money or less money in terms of like per job? So obviously overall you're able to earn more because you can be in 100 places at once. But if you were going to go into a physical scene, or you're going to go and license your AI body, what would you charge out more?
So I own my scan. So I don't know. I mean, obviously this is all sort of in the future. We're not quite there yet. Or
but
at least
I don't think we're far off, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But in terms of licensing, I'm not sure whether how I would license my digital double at this point, because I love to have control of my image. So I'm going to be very careful about how I use this digital double. And also, like, I would say in terms of like performers having their bodies scanned by companies that then own their image, that's a little
problematic.
Yeah, because then that company is going to own your image in the AI space. It's hard to answer the question, will I make more money this way or that way? Because we're not quite there yet.
Is it something that exists, or what are like the parameters for it in terms of Pornhub at the moment? So is it possible for there to be deep fakes at the moment that are circulated online that the person doesn't know exist? Do you know what I mean?
Well,
Is that a possibility?
I can't really speak on deep fakes because I do want to differentiate, because deep fakes are not part of the porn industry.
No.
Because deep fakes, just like I always had an issue when people would say revenge porn, because that kind of content isn't pornography. Because pornography, as I define it, is consensual content made by adults for adults. And revenge porn is something, I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's revenge sexual assault material. I don't know what it, but it's not pornography.
It's a
something,
really good point, actually.
Yeah.
It definitely should have a different name
Yeah,
attached
because
to it.
it's not something that's created by the pornography industry for,
It's not consensual.
Exactly. So, and same with deepfakes, that's not consensual. And so,
Do you think that maybe the murky line is because it can all exist in the same place? So it's possible for it to be uploaded. If, say, for example, Pornhub, and I also don't know enough about it, so I don't want to say anything that may be technically incorrect. But on one hand, it is a platform where you can find very consensual, highly creative content that's been made from people who love their jobs and love the industry. But you can also find things on there that probably maybe shouldn't be living on that platform as well.
actually not anymore, because
complete opposite.
Pornhub changed their policies, I believe, in 2020 and 2021. And so now you have to be a registered performer to be able to upload content to the
Right. So
platform.
not amateur in the same way as what it used to look like.
No.
That's really interesting. So, I mean, obviously those changes had to come into effect to protect people, but I didn't realize it was something that had been upheld,
Yeah.
Have you seen any AI-generated images of you already that you are not in control of?
Oh, yeah, they're awful.
That's
I mean awful as in they don't.
They're not real,
I mean,
okay.
they
Like,
kind
I'm
of
way
look
hotter.
like me, but I'm like,
I wouldn't do that.
You're like, just watch the real one.
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
did that anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But it's scary because even just thinking of one, this has nothing to do with sex, but just how crazily real AI is now. There was this model that's gone viral just at Wimbledon recently. She was at all the events. She was like a beautiful fashion model, and she was watching the matches, and it was insane. And she grew by like 150,000 followers over Wimbledon. She had really famous professional athletes from around the world messaging her, wanting to date her. And then it came out that she's just AI. She doesn't exist. She's completely fake.
But it's also why it's one of the interesting things, because I think people talk about this space of like AI coming into porn, but a lot of porn, especially the porn that you do, is all about human connection. So it's like that's the one thing that can't be replicated in the same way. I do think it raises concerns, and you hit the nail on the head when it comes to who owns an image. And that's probably the thing that hasn't been nailed down or drilled down yet, because I feel like a lot of people maybe not even realizing could sign that right away for a immediate offer that feels really amazing, not knowing what the long-term sacrifice may be of doing that or making that decision early on in a career, especially when AI is still so embryonic in every industry.
As someone that's so multifaceted in the industry, that you are a performer, you have OnlyFans, but you also produce your own content, like you have multiple funnels of income. If you're happy to tell us, what do you think is the most profitable for you as someone that has their finger in so many pies?
Oh, it's easy. It's OnlyFans.
OnlyFans, by far.
By far.
Because you got into it quite late, didn't you? You joined
OnlyFans?
Yeah, OnlyFans.
Yes. Well, I had an OnlyFans account at the end of 2017 or the start of 2018. So I had one quite early, but I wasn't really utilizing it. I was uploading a photo every now and again, not really fully into it. But then when COVID hit and I could no longer be on set and everybody was at home and there was, no other way to really interact with fans, OnlyFans blew up as a platform, and that's when I really started to engage in OnlyFans.
What do you enjoy doing more? Even though OnlyFans may be more of an income asset, what is the type of content that you enjoy doing?
I love both.
You
I
do?
love both studio work and OnlyFans. I mean, with OnlyFans, I create all sorts of content for it. So I create the same kind of content that I would for studios. So very highly produced content, but then I also produce more amateur POV, solo content.
Like more day-to-day, unfiltered, like more realistic kind of content.
How much of that is personalized? Because I know with OnlyFans, it's obviously like a little bit more of a personal accessibility, which obviously you have control over.
Yes.
You allow people in as much as you want, or you are able to set those boundaries. How much of the work that you do on there is that personalization aspect?
Quite a lot, actually. I mean, it actually depends on my schedule, depending on how much I'm shooting that week or that month. So, for example, like custom videos, I turn them on and off depending on how much time I have. So, I do offer custom videos. They are a little more expensive, obviously, because I can't sell it. Yeah, over and over again. So, it's more profitable for me to do a solo that I can sell to everyone than, say, a custom solo that I sell to one person, which is why I have to charge more. But I do quite a lot of like quite personalized content. And even the content that I do that I send in the DMs to everyone, I still try and make it feel personalized. Even if I'm not saying a person's name, I try and make it very intimate, as if I speak into the lens as if I'm speaking to my fans, so that, you know, it feels more intimate, it feels special, it feels like I made it just for them.
What are some of the more unusual requests you've had on OnlyFans?
I get requests for everything, every niche. Obviously, because I have big natural boobs, I do get a lot of big natural tit fetish custom requests. So it might even just be like oiling up my boobs, or, you know, putting nipple clamps on, and just boob focused stuff. But then I've got my feet guys who want to see my my toes sucked.
So that is such an interesting niche to me, because it absolutely exists. I mean, there's Wiki Feet page out there.
Laura's
We've talked about it before. I have a Wiki Feet page. I did not set it up myself, guys. Someone on the internet set it up.
You don't earn money from it though.
People are on there rating. Yeah, I get nothing. But also, like, it seems.
Well, look, you're giving away your toes for free right now.
This is what, every time I'm like featured on the podcast and like I've got my shoes off, my husband always screenshots it, sends to me, and he's like, free content. He's like, we've got mortgages, like do something with this.
Do you think that there is room on OnlyFans? And like, because we hear about it, but it's almost like the things of myths and legends. So tell us how it really is. Do you think you could make a lot of money on OnlyFans as someone that's anonymous? So you don't know who you are, but you're posting feet, asking for a friend.
No, I feel like this is like, for people who are not familiar with the platform, and like, let me say, I'm one of them. I'm not familiar with the platform, but I feel like that there's a lot of like almost get rich schemes on there.
Well, that's why I want to ask, because that's what we're led to believe. We're led down the garden path that like anyone can go on there and make money and make content.
It's unlikely.
Yeah.
You'd have to have the most beautiful or the most unique feet in the entire world.
Yeah.
Most people that are making big money on OnlyFans are showing their face.
Yeah.
They have a personality to go behind, like that goes along with the photos. Just feet pics, yeah, you might make a little bit of money. You're going to get rich off it?
Is there anything
Unlikely.
that you've been asked to do on OnlyFans that you have had to say no to?
Oh, tons of things.
Like what kind of things?
Just the most disgusting things you can think of, those things.
Can you give us an example? Like something that pops to mind?
I mean, are you sure you want to get in their brains?
Yeah. Actually,
we do.
I mean, I always find it interesting. We talk about this accessibility now in terms of OnlyFans. It's been, on one hand, it's celebrated. On one hand, it's demonized. And I think that that's probably the porn industry in general in terms of how people view it. I loved when we spoke last time and you spoke about how positive it has been as an experience for you and how much you have enjoyed it. Because your story is very much in the contrary to the stories that you often hear when it comes to the porn industry and the dark side of it. What would be your advice for someone who wants to get into doing OnlyFans, who's thought about it, who's, you know, maybe even like started or set up a page or whatever? How would you say for someone who's young, thinking about it, to kind of progress through this?
The first thing I would say is that it is a lot of work. Don't think that just because you're gorgeous that you can take a few photos and you're going to make a lot of money. You have to build your social media presence. You have to market yourself. You have to be on the platform constantly, chatting with fans, uploading content. There's so much that goes into a successful account. So if you think it's just going to be this little side hustle, you're going to put up some hot pics and maybe some hot videos and make a ton of money, that's just not how it's going to work. Look, it can happen for some people if there's some scandal surrounding them, but it's just so unlikely. So if they do want to get into the industry, whether it's OnlyFans or studio porn, just know that this is something that you should do because you're really into the work, you're really excited about expressing and exploring your sexuality on camera, and it's something that you'd want to do even if you weren't making a lot of money.
Yeah, because I feel like that there's probably people who have kind of bought into the get rich quick scheme. And there's probably a lot of content creators that live on OnlyFans who are doing that version. They're not doing a lot of it, but they've put just enough online that like, well, okay, now there's explicit content of you online. Did you do it because you wanted to do it, or did you do it because you thought you're going to make money off it?
Yeah.
And then you didn't make the money.
And now that's
And
still
now
online.
it's online. So then
Yeah.
you're left in this kind of gray area of like, well, what do I do with this? Rather than it being because this is an industry you absolutely are driven by.
Well, when I started, there wasn't that much money in porn. I didn't make
Yeah.
a lot of money when I first started. I did it because I really wanted to do it.
What would have been like a ballpark figure that you would make at the beginning when you started for a porn film? Like for going and filming one of your scenes or one of your movies?
Like a couple $1,000.
Because I think people
Yeah.
think that maybe you'd be making so much money, like
No.
$20,000, $30,000, $40,000
No,
per.
absolutely not. No, I did it because I loved it. It was my passion. I wanted to do it. And I didn't make money for many, many, many years. And I did it just for the love of the game.
Did people find it hard to understand that in terms of like, or were your family and friends and stuff pretty accepting and pretty like, oh, that's Angela? Because I would say
It was
that,
a mix.
yeah, I would say that if you're not
Yeah.
making a lot of money from it, but you are putting yourself out there in a way that's like, you know, very sexually explorative and also like has the voyeurism aspect where anyone can go online and see it, people have opinions.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a mixed bag. There were people, like you said, that were like, oh, well, that's Angela. We always expected her to do that. But then people were like, firstly, why would you do this whether you're making money or not? Because there was that, there still is this sort of idea that, oh, you'd only get into porn if you were traumatized or if you had any other options. And that just wasn't the case for me. It was something that I wanted to do. But yeah, there are definitely people that were like, why would you do it if you're not making a ton of money?
In terms of the creators that you work with, what has been your experience? And I guess what I mean is like when you say people think, oh, you have to have been traumatized or gone through some really like fucked up family shit or something to want to end up working in the porn industry. When you have worked with other creators, what has been your assessment of the porn industry?
The same as every other industry that I've ever worked in. Like nobody looks at, there's no studies done on how many people have been traumatized that go into like the legal profession.
Yeah.
Like
Or become psychiatrists.
Yeah, like what
They're
makes
all
you want to
psychiatrists.
become a psychiatrist?
Yeah,
Like what
totally.
did you go through that now you want to help others in that? No, it's the same as any other kind of workplace.
Yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, actually, that is like, there is lots of stats now that have come out around like people who work in like psychology or therapists.
Dentists.
Often have gotten into the jobs because they've wanted to psychoanalyze like what it was, their blueprint that they've
Interesting.
experienced.
There you go.
I don't want people to think we just scooted over that. Angela actually has such an interesting story about how you got into the porn industry and the why and the process. And we went into great detail about that in our first episode 18 months ago. So guys, if you're interested, go and search that. We talk so much about it and I loved it. Something that I think a lot of people ask and want to know and are curious about is how you manage your relationships in real life. A lot of people don't understand that you might be able to have a monogamous relationship with somebody and do what you do. Where are you at now in your relationship status? And I guess what have you navigated in the past when you're trying to manage a very successful porn career and a beautiful, intimate, private relationship?
I'm dating a couple of people right now. Which
Okay.
is nice. I think you'll find every kind of relationship status in porn. Like there are married couples in porn that are monogamous aside from when they're at work. And then there are people that are polyamorous in the industry and people that are completely open and people that just don't even want a partner, that just want to be single and work. So I think that you can kind of build your own relationship style in life. And I think in porn, you have to have partners that are willing to, be open to the fact that you are being sexual with people at work. Some people sort of demarcate work sex and home sex. I don't so much because my aim in every porn scene is to have genuine connection and chemistry with the people that I'm working with. So I can't be like, oh, don't worry, it means nothing at work, because I want it to mean something at work. But I know other people kind of have this thing where it's like, well, there's the work sex and then there's the home sex, and that's how they kind
And they're
of,
different.
they're very different.
So in terms of that though, how do your partners And assuming when you say you're dating a couple of people, is polyamory something that is
Yeah.
in? Okay, so have you experienced where there is jealousy, where they're like, okay, well, if you're at work and you're telling me this means something to you, then what does that mean for what we share? Or is it something now, and I guess because you are so open about it and it's not like anyone comes into a relationship with you where it's a surprise.
Yeah.
But like, do you find that sometimes it still rears its head, or is it pretty open now?
Everyone's, you're human. Some people are going to be jealous at certain points, but you just try and be empathetic to the person and try and figure out like where is that jealousy coming from? Like what's the fear behind it and try and address that fear. Is it that maybe they're not feeling like they're getting enough attention from me and so it hurts to see me giving someone else attention on screen, or am I not giving them enough time? Do they want more time with me? What is it that's actually at the root of it? And so that's kind of how I try and deal with it.
Do you date other people in the industry?
I try not to, but I am
But
human.
you are now. I can see it.
I try not to just because it makes things more complicated. It's been good for me to date people sort of in the industry but not
Adjacent to
performers.
it.
Adjacent,
Yeah.
right, because then they understand the game, they understand what it's like on set.
Like a
and-
director or a producer.
Exactly.
or-
Then they get it. Whereas people that aren't in the industry, it is a lot more difficult for them to understand
I can understand that.
what it's like.
Or
on set.
like it's just more of an education piece for them to kind of like grapple with, okay, well, what does your, like I go to work and I'm an accountant. What do you do during the day? What's a normal day of work, you know?
Yeah.
And I guess also when you are someone who's not just got a 9-to-5 job, when you are working on OnlyFans and you talk about the level of hours and commitment that takes, it's like, how do you separate your private life, your home life from what is happening online when you kind of have to always be online
Yeah.
and be putting the hours in as well? How do you create those boundaries for yourself?
I will admit I'm the worst person to ask because
There are none.
I don't have a work-life balance.
Yeah.
But I'm
Neither do we,
okay
don't
with
worry.
that. Yeah, I'm just actually okay with that because I love my work.
And you're
Yeah.
hustling for yourself. You've
Yeah.
got your own business.
Exactly. So
And so when you say that you're dating a few people now, are you in an open like are you in a relationship and dating, or are you just seeing different people freely?
it's more of like, it's not really fully labeled, but sort of like an open relationship kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are any of the people that you date now or have dated not?
But it's like, what's their name and where do they
no,
live?
but are they? I guess a bit more.
Give them a shout out.
No, but I guess more specific. It's like that game, Guess Who? You know how you're like, does he wear a hat? Does he wear glasses?
And I was like, leave me alone.
No, because I think it's a really interesting conversation, and I think a lot of people are interested in how you manage it. Are any of the people that you're dating simultaneously in the industry and not in the industry? So like anyone now on your roster of lovers, situationships, partners, whatever they are they not in the industry at the moment?
Most are in the industry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one is sort of
No.
not.
And where
Oh my
does he
God, I'm
live? No, I'm
so
joking.
Angela, honestly, we could talk to you for ages about this. I really do want to say, like, if you've come to this episode but didn't listen to the first episode we did with Angela, you absolutely have to, because it was all the nitty gritty. It was everything from double penetration to
triple penetration. Yeah.
triple, of course. How could I forget?
Lord,
I mean,
don't
there's-
got one.
There's 3 holes. Like,
Do
what
not
are you talking
lower
about?
Angela to double penetration.
No, but we talked about everything and the nuance of that. And I guess, like, from this perspective, if you came into this episode, you'd probably be like, but why would you not ask her those questions? So we have in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
And we did the squirting, we did the triple penetration, we did your education and how you got into it. There are so many things that we covered in that. Do you really orgasm in sex or is it fake? It's a fascinating interview, but don't just go and listen to it. Go and watch it on YouTube. Both of these are going to be on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Angela, it's always an absolute delight to have you. We will have you back anytime.
Thank you.
And next time we'll have some more sorted questions for you. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I want another
excited.
sexy one.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you so much for having me.